all about getting out of habit, getting back out of what's become unconscious for you. You've probably been doing the same things over and over again in your relationship as far as how you engage into sex, creating a new dynamic where your partner really feels honored and is really able to let go into a space of receiving pleasure. Hey guys, I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can manifest your ideal life. If you want to learn more about sexual mastery, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified when I release new videos and go live. Make sure you get my free ejaculation control course through the link in the video description below. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to touch a woman, basically. But I think more importantly, this is how to really connect with a woman, how to create desire in her, how to use touch, how to use presence as a way to deepen intimacy, to create arousal and a passion, which is very, very important. Definitely something that becomes common in long-term relationships is for a lot of the spontaneity to be gone, a lot of the more thoughtful approach to intimacy and sexuality. It can become routine, right? When you're first dating someone, it's all about creating that desire, you know, the first time you touch each other's bodies, you start very slowly, maybe building into sex, and it's always very intentional often in the beginning. Whereas, you know, maybe 1, 2, 3 years later, it becomes simply, hey, do you want to have sex? Can we have sex today? Come on, let's have sex, right? And you just want to jump right into sex. And so this, over time, losing that intentionality, losing the ability to create desire within your partner is something that can, you know, destroy polarity in relationships. And I think it's a common cause of relationships becoming sexless is that the man simply loses in some ways, his drive to really attract his partner. You know, it no longer becomes about kind of attracting and winning the partner. It simply becomes like, okay, I feel entitled to have sex with her. Come on, you should have sex with me. We're married. I pay the bills, all these things. It becomes a logical thing, right? And then that's a big relationship killer for sure. So basically, you want to think about touch. A woman needs to be prepared for sex. There's definitely some women who are more on the fiery side that can be immediately ready for sex. And some women at certain times, yes, they may be ready to have a quickie, just jump right into sex. But in general, women are like water. Men are like fire. Men are quick to burn, but easily exhausted, easily dispersed of that fire. Women, like water, is slowly brought to a boil. But once it reaches a boil, it stays hot for a long time, right? So it's that art of bringing the woman to a boil. And a lot of that is touch and presence and intention. These things are very much intertwined. Think about touching to give rather than touching to take. This is an important lesson I learned from a tantra massage therapist. You think about what is the intention, right? Are you touching her because, okay, I just want to make her horny really quick so we can have sex as quickly as possible? You're trying to take something from her, right? You know, we've all done this at some point. You know, I've certainly been guilty of this myself, but you want to really start bringing awareness to your interactions, especially in, you know, long-term relationships. Things become habit. Dynamics become kind of crystallized and rigidified in a way that it's always the same thing, doing the same thing in the same way. And that, again, becomes boring. So being intentional about this, saying, how can I touch to give? What does it mean to touch to give versus touch to take? Again, touch to take is you're simply touching her so you can turn her on as quickly as possible so you can have sex with her. And obviously, you know, you'll always want to have sex at some point, but it's about putting her comfort, her safety, and her pleasure at, you know, more of a priority. Not saying it should always be above yours, like you should always be below her, but just in that, you know, again, the more you give, the more you can receive, right? So your intention should not even be to have sex. It should be, how can I touch her in a way that gets her out of her mind, into her body, and into a state of receptivity? This is the most important thing for a woman because, you know, she comes home from work, she's stressed out, she's having, you know, emotional mood swings, whatever. If you're trying to get her from that into sex, it's usually not going to work, right? She'll usually can turn into an argument and she just closes down, right? The most important thing to do is to get a woman out of her head, out of a stressful state and into her body, into a state of feeling good, feeling safe, feeling supported by you. And trying to go straight for sex, you know, for a man, logically, that's what we want is when we're stressed out, when we're, you know, upset, whatever, we just want to have sex, right? But for women, it just doesn't work like that. Women are a little more connected to the heart space. They want to feel your heart. They want to feel your presence and your support rather than, you know, just feel like that you just want something from their body, right? So getting her out of her head and into her body. How do we do this? It can be a few different things. For my partner, massage and touch is very, very important. Specifically her back area, her arms and her hands. These are where she really likes to be touched. If I try to go for like her thighs, obviously her breasts, you know, sexual genital area, it doesn't go so well if I go straight for that area. So massaging, a foot massage as well is very helpful for a lot of women. So just say, hey, whether or not they've had a rough day, if they're in a, you know, upset emotional state, you know, allow them to kind of talk about it. Say, what is it that's upsetting you? You know, allow them to kind of vocalize it, and it will help them to clear that thing, right? Or if, you know, it's not a day they're off, but they're just not in the sexy mood, just giving them a massage, massaging the shoulders, massaging the arms and the hands. And rather than having the thought of, okay, will this turn her on? Think of projecting into her love, your respect for her, your masculine confidence and strength. Like you're just holding the space of, I feel good. I feel good within my body. I don't need sex with her because I can do qigong. I can get my chi from within, from nature, you know? Becoming less outcome oriented, I would say, right? You have that type of solidity in your energy field. You have that confidence in that presence, and then you're touching her with that, and you're like, how can I help her feel good? That should be your goal. How can I help her feel good, feel receptive, feel safe in her body, and feel open to pleasure, just the pleasure of this massage? It's a very different energy quality than simply, how can I get her to have sex with me? And they will very much feel this. Your intention and the presence that you're holding, right? If you're thinking about, okay, will this lead to sex? You're not really there. You're in the future. She will feel that. But when you're here and now, just feeling, how can I make her feel good? How can I send my chi into her to open her up and help her feel receptive? That is what they will feel. They will feel your love. They will feel your heart. They will feel that masculine presence, and that will naturally make them surrender to you, surrender into their feminine state, surrender into receptivity. And then bringing that same awareness, if you do move to something more sexual, you know, if you start kissing her, a breast massage is wonderful for women. And this is where it's very important to learn how to read a woman's body, because if you want to proceed to more sexual touch and eventually sex, you want to do so without getting the woman into her head, without giving her decisions to make, saying, do you want to have sex? You know, obviously communication is important, and especially if it's, you know, a newer relationship, you want to definitely make sure that your partner is willing to have sex with you before you just try to go for it. But as far as a more long-term relationship, you know, and just in general, being able to read your partner's body to where she's saying yes to you, making more sexual touch with her. Observe her breath, observe her face, observe how relaxed she is. If you're starting to do something, for example, if you're moving to a more sexual area, if you're moving to her breasts, her thighs, if she's uncomfortable, if she does not want you there, she will probably contract. Her breath may become a bit more shallow. Her face may look a bit more tense. You will probably just be able to feel, right? Ideally, you want her body to guide you. If you're touching her arms, her shoulders, if she's starting to move her body, if she's making sound, if she's breathing deeper, you know, especially if she's moving her hips, it's a very good indication that she wants you to go further. And on the other hand, if her breath is getting shallow, if she's starting to tense up, if she looks uncomfortable, then it's probably a good indication that you should not go any further in that moment. And here's another important point. I think that you should get used to having this type of interaction with your partner without it always resulting in sex. And it can certainly always lead to sex, but maybe if it's during a time period where your partner just isn't feeling as sexual, if you touch her in this way and then always expect sex from it, that will create this pattern. She will sense that, and she will immediately shut down even when you first start touching her, because this is where it comes down to, you're giving out of trying to take rather than touching to give. And I want to finish this up by talking about how to move into the more sexual erogenous zones for a woman. Breast massage is a really, really great practice to do for women. It really activates their heart energy. It gets their hormones going. And don't think about breast massage as being like how you as a man want to touch breasts. You know, it may be different than how she wants it. Again, think of massaging them as you would massage any other body part. Don't go straight for the nipples. Don't try to make it overly sexual in the beginning. This really can awaken a woman's heart energy and start to awaken her genitals as well. And when you do get to touching the genitals, do not go straight for the clitoris. Many men do this. I certainly did this for years. When it comes to the yoni space, you want a woman's body to invite you in, and you want to slowly awaken the space. If you try to go straight up in there, she's probably going to shut down. So think of really, really taking your time, creating as much enjoyment with every little touch as you can. Make her beg for more rather than her kind of wishing you were doing less. So start with the outside area of the vagina, of the outer lips. Very, very gently caress this area. And in general, I do not recommend very direct clitoral stimulation, really for all women, unless they're specifically asking for it, because it tends to pull all the energy of the woman's genitals into the clitoris itself. It means that the vagina, the G-spot, some of the other more erogenous areas can become a bit numb. This is one reason why most women only ever experience clitoral orgasms. So you want to wake up her whole yoni, spread that feeling across her labia, the lips, massaging all around the outside, the perineum area. Slowly awaken that yoni until it pulls you in. And again, always be mindful of your intention. You should always be holding a space of honoring your partner, respecting their boundaries, but holding your strong masculine presence, a strong sense of leading them into a space of surrender, exuding this energy of confidence, and not rushing into anything. And it's not to say here that you should never ever touch trying to create pleasure for yourself. That's not what I'm trying to say here. I just feel that for most men, they're a bit too much stuck in that direction, and learning how to be a bit more intentional with giving pleasure, touching the woman, drawing her into a space of safety, trust, and surrender will ultimately create a much more powerful, intimate dynamic between you. And if you've been experiencing a sexless relationship, I guarantee if you integrate what I've talked about here, you may start to see some profound changes in your dynamic with your partner. It's all about getting out of habit, getting back out of what's become unconscious for you. You've probably been doing the same things over and over again in your relationship as far as how you engage into sex, creating a new dynamic where your partner really feels honored and is really able to let go into a space of receiving pleasure. Imagine that it's your first time together every time, and use that level of intentionality. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what I shared in this video, it's just a sample of what I'm teaching in my 12-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man. Registration is open right now. Find more information in the description of this video. And if you're watching this in the future, make sure you sign up for the waitlist to join a future round of this course. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, and leave a comment below. Have a great day, my friends.